Hello, my friend. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jaden, and this is PathTune, where we are charting a course towards the shores of your highest potential. In this video, I want to speak about the guiding principle of synchronicity. You may have noticed it in your life. Maybe you've been seeing repeating numbers, or certain things just line up in a weird way. Maybe you think about a friend and then they call you right when you're thinking about them. There's a limitless amount of ways that synchronicity can happen in our life, and sometimes and often, depending on the person, it's easy to write it off as coincidence. But maybe we can go into the difference between the perspective on coincidence and synchronicity. Maybe I'll just go ahead and write that down real quick so we don't forget. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you being here. If you've saw the title and you clicked on this video, this message is for you. And I really appreciate you tuning in. So if you have a minute, come hang out with me. We'll explore this concept. Maybe we'll come up with some ideas together that can ultimately, this channel is all about exploring different ideas so that you can craft a diverse, balanced perspective that will ultimately assist you in bettering your life. And we can change where we end up by changing ourselves. And that's how you do it, is working on yourself. Self-development, self-reflection, you know this. But this channel we don't have to take it so seriously. We're going on a journey and we're going to explore. We're going exploring. So come with me, please. We're saying synchronicity. Totally spelt that wrong. We'll fix that later. Versus coincidence. Okay. We will come back to that, but we're going to settle into this space, clear the space with this bowl here, and get settled in for the message, right? So just take a few deep breaths and release the things that are weighing you down, release all that is not serving you, and let's begin anew in this moment, because this moment is all there ever has existed, will exist, and does exist. I'm going to do 3 of them. You ready? Here we go. I have to put my hands on these rings because the bowl vibrates the rings. I like this one because it lasts a long time. Just keeps going. It's good. Cool. I'm excited you're here, and I'm glad you're here. Aren't these rings cool? The intention with those rings is it kind of amplifies the energeticness, the energetic signal of the vibrations of the sounds on a higher plane. Yep. Okay. So let's get into this, right? What is the guiding principle of synchronicity? Well, it comes down to your beliefs and your belief system and how you perceive your reality. At one point in my life, didn't think much of synchronicity. Didn't really seem like a thing. But then the more I experienced, the more I learned, the more real it became. And then, as you, with the mind of yours, you create your experience and you create your reality, right? Like literally, your brain creates your reality, your specific version of reality. And there's what's known as the Reticular Activating System, or RAS for short. And that's a mechanism in your brain, and it's a network of neurons where whenever your conscious attention, usually a derivative of the prefrontal cortex, whenever you select a target and you place an intention on something, then your reticular activating system ends up raising that subject of focus to a higher degree of importance, thus it having more salience in your experience of your reality. You've seen the optical illusions and the pictures where there's okay, I just have two thoughts at the same time. So you ever get that? So anchor that one thought, which is do the exercise of giving you an example in your mind, imagination. The other thing is I just wanted to say the image where you're looking at the image and it presents, you know what? We'll look that up. Optical illusions, but it's based on a heuristic, a cognitive heuristic where we don't see certain things, and it's not coming to mind the specific word for it, but I will look that up. Optical illusions. Thanks for waiting on this. You're not in a rush, right? We're just hanging out. It's like we're having coffee together. Oh yeah. This is whoa. Okay. I'm going to have to look. Oh. Okay. Well, I guess this sort of yeah. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but I can sort of give you this. So, here's one. Right? We can say that's a mountain. But then what else do you see? And then once you say, what is it? Like a bird or something? Do you see the bird? Or the duck? And now that you see it, now it's taking over, and that you can't unsee it. It's not the best example. This is just showing how our mind wants to see faces, and so our mind will create faces out of things. And isn't that interesting? Like that right there, you seeing a face right there and right there is your brain. Because that face is not actually there in the image. Like, look at the individual parts. It's kind of tripping me out. But this is you kind of touching the fabric of your mind working, of your mind creating your experience. Because you can notice how it just puts the face there, but then you individualize each component of it, And it's like, wait, there is no face. What is happening? That's kind of cool. What else we got? There's another version of that. Right? And that comes down to a evolutionary adaptation, from what I understand. But I think we're getting a little lost in the sauce, because maybe this isn't the best. It isn't the best descriptor, but anyway, let's do an exercise, shall we? Can you see the fox? Oh no. Okay. Can you see the fox in there? I can't really see the fox. No. Yeah, I'm gonna find a cool optical illusion site, and then we'll do a video on that. Oh. Well, there's the giraffe. That's pretty easy. Can you see the fox? There's a wolf. It's not a fox. Can you see the fox? Is that just an inaccurate word? Yeah, this is not an optical illusion. This is a wolf hanging out behind a tree. Anyway, I digress. Let's do an exercise, all right? Oh, wait. Do I see the fox now? No. All right. In your mind, imagine your living room or your bedroom, whatever you want. Just entertain this. You're going to want to do this if I can execute this right. All right, so just sit there for a second, close your eyes, and imagine your bedroom or your living room. And then I want you to imagine everything that is red in that room. And count up as many things red as you can. All right? I'll give you a few more seconds. Just scan the whole room and count as many things as you can that are red. All right, you done? Now, my question to you is, how many blue things were in that room? Well, you say, I don't know, because you were telling me to look for red. Exactly. Because you were looking for red, you saw red. You didn't pay attention to the blue. And maybe, and this actually, Tony Robbins did a really great version of this, but I'm willing to bet that there are some things in your room that maybe aren't exactly red, but you kind of made it red. There's some burgundy or maroon or beige stuff that, not beige, but yeah, burgundy or maroon that were close to red, and you kind of made it count. Am I right? That's because we naturally want to. I don't know what that stems from, honestly. Is that like achievement? I'm going to have to come back to you on the reason why we fudge it a little bit. But the point I'm making is that it is, you didn't see blue. Like, how many blue things were in there? I mean, if you go back look now in your mind, you can find it. But when you were looking with the red, you didn't notice the blue things. All right, I did all right with that. And that illustrates my point of the reticular activating system, where when we have a subject of focus and our mind places an intention on something, that specific target elevates to the conscious awareness. Other things drop beneath the conscious awareness. It does not mean that your brain is not perceiving them, and it still may be getting logged. Usually, most things, almost everything gets logged in your subconscious. Your brain sees everything, but your conscious mind only sees the spotlight of focused attention. So, why did I say that? Why did I mention that? Well, with the aspect of synchronicity, the reticular activating system in your mind weave together. And I meant to say the reticular activating system within your mind weaves with the experience of synchronicity. And some people may say that's it. That's a done deal right there. You're creating the synchronicities. Because, for example, if I'm going on a trip to Hawaii and I'm looking forward to it and I just booked my plane ticket to Hawaii, then, and this actually happened to me, and this has happened in many different ways, but I started noticing for like the next month, 2-3 months after I booked that plane ticket and I was looking forward to Hawaii, I noticed Hawaii everywhere. Like, people were talking about it. I heard it on social media. Hawaii was suddenly everywhere in my life. Another thing with if you just say you're looking at buying a certain car and you start researching that car, and now you notice that car everywhere. Whereas before you started thinking about buying the car, you didn't really notice them. These are all examples of how your physical mind, we'll go with that, your physical mind actually has hardware that changes your perception in within your conscious awareness. Reticular activating system, right? We got that. Let's go into the notes. So we understand that within the mind, and then we have, what's the opposite of mind? We'll say spirit / higher mind. So, okay, we'll call this physical mind. I like where this is going. So we have the reticular activating system elevating certain signs of salient details. And some people who only, say a scientist who's very rooted in the physical world only, in data and results, measurable results, they may chalk synchronicity pretty much just up to the RAS. I happen to believe that it's more than that. But the reason I started with this is that I don't want to discount the power of your actual hardware. You have a supercomputer in your skull, and it's amazing. Just like how we were seeing the faces earlier. Like, that's pretty incredible. Now you can see shapes and faces in the clouds and stuff. It's really amazing how powerful the mind is. The mind and the placebo effect, oh my. The placebo effect is almost like a middle ground. This should be like a Venn diagram, honestly. Maybe we'll come back. Let's try to make this Venn diagram. That was just, give me another shot. Will you give me another shot? Thanks. Better. So, physical mind higher mind. And by the higher mind, I'm speaking about your higher consciousness, your higher self, your spiritual self, which is the real you. From what I've learned, in my opinion, the way I view the world, just a thought. Look into it yourself. Ask yourself what the answer is. Don't just ask your physical mind, your logical mind. In the last video, we talked about right brain versus left brain, logical mind or rational mind versus intuitive mind. We're dealing in freaking dichotomy, duality world on this channel, aren't we? Well, that's what this reality is. So I'm labeling out the two ends of the coin and getting the two ends of the spectrum, and then we are finding our way to the balance point in the middle. Oh, so cool, so cool. All right. So physical mind, higher mind, and then what's the middle? What was I going to put in the middle? See, when I flow, I forget. What was I going to put in the middle? Physical mind, reticular activating system, synchronicity, coincidence. Wow, I lost it. For now, it'll probably come back. Let's take a pause. See, this is not like I'm the master here and I'm teaching you the way things are. We're mapping this out together. And it's just me and my thoughts. It's just me, myself, and I in this conversation. So, I got help, but got to really slow down and tune in. So, physical mind, right? Your spirit and your higher mind. Oh, got it. Came back. You got to trust it'll come back. It was the placebo effect. Because the mind is so powerful that it basically transcends what we think to be possible. Mind over matter, right? There are some amazing things the body can do if the mind really goes into overdrive through the power of belief. And then once it taps into the power of belief, then it starts to bridge into the higher mind, and then you bend the rules of reality. So this is so cool, and this is not all going to be in this one video because this is a complicated topic. But this is an introduction. If you're enjoying this concept and you're interested, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I ask for your subscription. I would really appreciate that. Especially if you want to get notified of future videos, and if this type of information you're into it, then yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, helps the channel grow. I appreciate that. But what I was getting at is that there's this split between perspective, and I'm trying to unify. And you can look at synchronicity. We're talking about synchronicity on this video, right? You can look at synchronicity as being entirely the product of the mind. Or you can look at synchronicity as being, see, I should put these on the other side. That makes more sense. Synchronicity should be over here. Synchronicity. And then coincidence. Yeah, because the mind, the logical rationality, will call it coincidence. Just random coincidence. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. Synchronicity is pointing to everything is connected. Everything has meaning. And that's an interesting concept, because if everything has meaning, then nothing has meaning. And if nothing has meaning, then what's the point? Well, then it goes back to the mind, because the mind is what gives things meaning. So you can look at it this way: at its core, and I did say this in a previous video. I'll probably repeat myself here and there. It's all good. I don't need to mention that it's in a previous video every time I do that. But I want you to go watch the other videos too. But at its base level, everything is meaningless. Meaning that it doesn't inherit this jug, which I just got this jug and I like it. This jug doesn't have any meaning associated to it. It is jug. And it be... Oh wait, you can't see the jug. Boom, jug. It is jug. And you can't tell the jug what to do. You can't tell it who it is. It's jug. It just bees. It here now. Doesn't need to do anything. It's chilling. It's being. This is what reality is on its base level. A jug. It is only when the mind gets involved that we begin to think about, what is it used for? What meaning does the jug have? And you know what gives the jug meaning? The mind. So stuff like this symbol, we love symbols as people because they have meaning, and we like to put meaning into things. But the interesting thing is that when you give something meaning, then it can employ a directive in your consciousness. So the meaning to, say, a crystal or different symbols, they actually can produce, like when we're throwing a pebble in the lake, ripples. So when you place your target and your focus on the meaning of, say, a symbol, then all the essence and all the details that are wrapped up in the meaning that you have associated with that symbol then become activated in your consciousness. So when you look and you make the intention to, say, look at a rose quartz, or carry it in your pocket, and then you look at it a couple of times a day, and you have placed meaning that rose quartz reminds you, or it means love, it means open heart, it means connection and affection and caring. So whenever you see that rose quartz, you think about its meaning, even on a very subconscious level. Maybe it's not consciously, but because it's there and you know deep down what it means, then it could influence your behaviors and your actions and your thoughts, because you have then triggered and you created that ripple through meaning. Very cool. Oh my gosh. That's a good way to explain that. But inherently, on a base level of reality, everything just exists. It just is. Just like there is no such thing as good or bad. Things just are. It is. There is no meaning to life, and that is not to be taken as a depressing statement. It's actually a very empowering statement, because there is no meaning, it's like everything is a blank page. Everything is an open book for you to write your story of meaning for your life, for your world, for your experience of your reality, pointing you to be in the position of the creator that you are. You following me? We are empowering ourselves through the mind because we don't want to say the mind's bad. It's a double-edged sword. The mind can get you into trouble. The mind can tear you down into a downward spiral, or it can lift you up. It's all about how you use your mind. So working on that, working on your mind, which is one of the greatest assets you have to your disposal, there's unfound fortunes and mystery. It's like the ocean. Your mind is like the ocean, where most of the ocean has still not been explored. There is mystery and untold depths of our own minds. And the way that our minds interface with our consciousness and the higher mind and the fabric of the quantum unified field, or the collective consciousness, however you want to look at what reality is, hologram, the way that the mind interfaces with it is truly remarkable. And have you heard of the double-slit experiment with quantum mechanics? If you're here, you probably have heard of the double-slit experiment. If you have not, just a quick little, or if you don't quite recall it, let's just look at a quick little refresher of that. Double-slit. There's probably a picture on it that'll be really easy. Yep, there it is. That's exactly what I was looking for. Boom, boom. We're going to the screen now. So, I need to move that so you can see. Should I just try to move myself? No, I can't do that right now, can I? Oh yeah, there you go. Let me go like that. Boom! Look at that. There you go. Bubbles. what was that? I just got a flash of the freaking shrimp, or the little crawdad in Finding Nemo. My bubbles. Anyway, we got bubbles here. But let me explain this real quick. If you haven't heard of it, I'm going to do a quick run through for the sake of the people that have heard it. But double-slit experiment is quantum mechanics, where they did, and this has been repeated, there's multiple experiments. And someone recently, who got the Nobel Prize? We got to just write that, like Nobel Prize quantum mechanics. And I will bring that up in a future video, because what they kind of proved was astounding. And it's like when we learn these things, we should, in my opinion, we should change the way we look at reality. And that's actually what I started to do. Was it just started to really hit me, like, if this is a hologram, if this really is simulation, if you want to look at it like that, I feel like that should change the way I operate. I feel like I should change the way that I interact with the world, and not just keep living the same way as I always have before I learned these things about reality from science. You know, this is taking information from what we deem as credible in the rational mind. But why don't we change the way we perceive our reality? Because of our mental schemas that we built since childhood that constructed how we view the world. Those concepts and belief system structures are not just easily toppled over. They are what keep us, they're a survival mechanism. It's what keeps our foundation for what our conception of reality, and our mind wants to preserve that for our own sake of sanity. So it's not like just a simple thing, an easy thing to just be like, oh yeah, simulation, hologram, cool, I'm going to jump off a cliff. Like, no, we want to survive. We don't want to change the what's gotten us this far. So you got to be careful, but figure out how can we change in order to incorporate this new information and adjust our belief system of what reality is and how you fit into it? So I started to work on that. I'm still working on that, but I remember a point I was sitting on my couch and I was just thinking to myself, and I'm like, I really just feel that I should, like, since I kind of turned over this rock and found that there was this other side of looking at things, there's all these little things under the rock about how, if you want to just put it into a metaphor, it's like a video game, but like the best video game, not a trivial game, the most important game you'll ever play. But looking at it like a game is looking at it like the character. And you're a character avatar in a quantum holographic reality where your decisions affect the way the story plays out and the way that everything happens from the point you are now, the way that the character develops, which skills it builds. Like, it is very valuable, in my opinion, to look at life through that lens, and maybe not all the time, but it can be a useful perspective. But I just remember thinking to myself, like, I just feel like if that's the case, I should change the way that I live. I should change the things that I do. I don't know exactly how or what exactly to change, but it just makes sense that if there's such a new development in what I know or what I believe, and based on XYZ information and evidence, then it should change. Like, I feel like the way that I interact with this world should change, right? Why would I just keep living the same way with this new groundbreaking perspective and information? Well, I explained why. Because we're stuck. We get just comfortable, and the mind doesn't like change because change is threatening to our survival. But you get the point, right? So let's go back to the double slit experiment. There we go. So what this experiment was, in short, they're beaming out photons through a photon laser. Photons are particles of light, or light particles, and they put it against two different backgrounds. And I guess I'm not sure what the bubbles are. You know, I read through this. This is in Jaden's terms, right? I'm not a quantum physicist. But in short, two different photon beams got two slits on a panel on each of them, as you can see, and they're beaming out photons. And what they discovered was that when the photons were not being measured, they would act as a wave. And when they were being measured, then they would collapse from a waveform into a particle and then go straight through the lines. But when they were not being measured, they would still continue to act as waves. And what is it? There's a scientific word. I don't want to say conclusion because it wasn't necessarily a conclusion, but what they kind of pulled from that experiment was that the act of observing something changed the way it manifested. That is, in short, what that was showing. And so AI Assist tells us this. The double slit experiment demonstrates that light and matter can behave both as particles and waves. When light or particles pass through two slits, they create an interference pattern indicating wave-like behavior, but this pattern disappears if the particles are observed, suggesting that observation affects behavior. Now, this is the very, very tip of the iceberg that goes into an entire plethora of information about quantum physics and quantum mechanics. One of which is that is pointing to is called I don't know why I'm in all caps. Oh, what am I doing? Why am I in all caps? Observer effect. Did I just freak out the computer because I was Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that part because my face was there. We got to go over here. Duck, duck, go. Yeah, maybe because I just spammed the enter bar. Well, there's that for you. I need to change my search browser, my search engine. Observer effect. The observer effect in quantum mechanics. How particles, which we know as matter in reality, on a subatomic level interact with each other in their environment. The observer effect is the phenomenon which the active observation alters the behavior of the particles being observed. This effect is due to the wave-like nature of matter, which means that particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously. And that's how a video game works, where the entire essence of the game is encoded on the disc. Let's just get a disc for you so you can see. So, we have video game right here. Oh, sorry. We're coming back to focus. Focus, focus, focus. Come on, in your mind. Slow focus. We have an Xbox 360 video game here. Oblivion. I like Skyrim better. But we have an entire world on this disc. Cities, towns, thousands of characters, people, scenarios. You can play different characters in every single possible permutation of action and combination and permutation of action and the different skill trees you can develop. Every single option is encoded on this disc that is here now in my hand, in the present moment. All of the past, present, future of the character is here now on the disc. It's a great metaphor for how reality could be looked at, because now, in the present moment, is all that exists, has existed, and will ever exist as far as we know. Because when you get there, it will be now. At least when it comes to you experiencing reality in the human form. So, but every option is encoded within the blueprint of the now moment. The past, present, future are encoded within the now moment. Every option and action your character could take, and every path that you could take is available to you now. And it's just on a different combination. It's on a different timeline. That's the different paths that the character could take. The character could develop its archery, or it could develop the sneak. And just because it chose to develop the archery and not the sneak does not mean that another path doesn't exist where it developed the sneaking ability. And so that's the concept of the multitude of timelines that exist all simultaneously. And that's what parallel realities are, parallel versions of yourself. And if reality is indeed holographic, as we're kind of pointing to with this observer effect, where the act of observing something through the double slit experiment kind of proved that it exists both as a wave and as a particle simultaneously, meaning a wave is like more fluid and free flowing, and fluid and free flowing, yeah. And then a particle is physical reality, grounded here, you can touch it, solid, I'm trying to say. And when you observe something, you collapse it from the realm of infinite possibility into a physical, definite timeline, or a manifested reality. And so it's just so cool to me how quantum physics is now beginning to give us scientific explanations of how the whole spiritual view of reality and law of attraction manifestation actually work, and they're coming together, and these, science and spirituality are bridging and merging, and it's an exciting time to be alive because of that. But my mind likes that because I do have an analytical mind that appreciates logic and data and things that I can wrap my mind around and observe, um, and so the known aspects of this really help give permission to my mind to start to broaden its perspective into a more vast array of possibilities, because this is incredible that when you observe something you actually change its physical characteristics at a subatomic level. It's just wild. It's wild. So we will go more into that in the future, but that's just kind of planting the seed there that there's more to this reality that meets the eye. You don't know what you don't know. And if you take some of these concepts and start to apply it to your life and then think, well, then if it really is if I can view it that way, if it is sort of like a holographic video game, where whenever I choose with my character to open up a door, that's like the door within that door, that tavern wasn't actually loaded until you decided to go through there, and then it loaded and then it materialized. But until that happened, it just existed as a wave before you opened the door. Then it condensed, or then it formed into a particle. Anyway, we're going to wrap it back up, and we're going to do more parts on this video, or I'll probably call them different things, but we're going to revisit that concept for sure, because this goes above my pay grade and I still need to learn more. But let's just bring back this a little bit, or for a second, let's bring back my handy dandy notebook. Dun, 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 dun. Walla walla bing bang. Ching ching. Why did that just come to my mind? What was that? Chitty chitty bang bang? You know about that? All right. Let's bring it up. Bring it up. Here we go. So, just for this video, because we're already 48 minutes into this, two things. I want to play some music, which I forgot to press play on, just as some background music. This playlist is called Music for a King Before Battle. I don't know how well you can hear that, but let's take a pause for a second. There's so much to learn, so much to do, and it's all about, like, what are you interested in? What are you excited towards? What are you passionate about? Can you tell that I'm excited and passionate about this stuff? I like sharing cool ideas. So I'm rolling with it. And I'm choosing to do the thing that I actually do enjoy doing, but in the past, different fears have stopped me from doing it. But it's time now to step into the greater version of ourselves, because the world is calling, and there are people out there that need you and your unique perspective. They need you to step into who you're really, into all of you, into expressing the full you and who you're meant to be. So there's the aspect of synchronicity. There's the aspect of coincidence. And just like everything else, I think they're connected, and they're two different ways of looking at the same thing. Coincidence is looking at it from the rational mind perspective. Synchronicity is looking at it from the higher mind perspective, because the higher mind knows that everything is connected. And it knows that the meaning that you place onto things actually has an impact in the way you attract possibilities and scenarios of happening in your life. Because when you set an intention with the mind, it interfaces with the quantum reality and then actually begins the guiding principle of synchronicity begins to attract and align things that are in resonance with that intention and the desire and intention of your higher self. And so when you start to align yourself to what really excites you, what really makes you interested and passionate, what really lights you up, that emotion and that feeling is communication from your higher mind, from your higher self. And because it can't communicate with words, but it communicates through energy, and that energy is experienced as in the form of passion, of excitement. So we got shit to do because we only get this limited amount of time. We will dive more into what synchronicity and the role it plays in your life, most likely in the next video. And I'll write that down to ensure. Next video. The role all right. But just to wrap that up, I really do hope you found some value in this video. I do love going with the flow and seeing what comes up because I do believe that there is information that I'm tapping into from my higher mind that is connected to your higher mind, that is connected to the collective grid and the quantum field. So if you found yourself on this video and you watched until this point, you best believe there's a reason you're here. In future videos, we'll be going over how to find your path in life, as this is Path Tune, which is all about tuning yourself to your highest and best life path. And we can change where we end up by changing yourself and the frequency that you hold. Your dominant frequency is affected by your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, which create your being. So if you work on that, you work on changing aspects of yourself. You work on evolving yourself, not changing in the way where something is wrong or there's something wrong with you. You're perfect as you are because everything that has led you to this point, all the experiences you've gone through, everything that you've thought, said, done, and experienced has led you to this point. And this is where you're exactly meant to be. So I'm excited to keep going on this journey with you. And we just got to take it one day at a time. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video as we continue this journey of self-discovery. Thank you for tuning in. And it was my pleasure to be able to serve you today in the form of this video and this message. I will see you on the next video.